So I purchased my 2025 Kawasaki ZX6R probably sometime around November of 2024. So it's been approximately 6 months since I've owned it. So with that being said, what were my first impressions and how do I feel about the bike now? Well, to be honest with you, I don't feel any different about the motorcycle. I haven't regretted my decision and I still love the motorcycle a lot. Unfortunately, I just haven't had the chance to ride it as much as I want to. The motorcycle definitely exceeds my expectations. I love every single little thing about the motorcycle with the exception of two things. One of them can be improved, which I do have an improvement for. It's a mod that I purchased, which I'm going to discuss with you later. And then the other thing can't be fixed. So you're gonna have to stay tuned and make sure to stick around until the end of the video where I get down into the nitty-gritty of things. Now, as far as the ergonomics and comfort of this motorcycle, obviously, I've had loads and loads of different sport bikes in the past, and I've had a couple of different naked standard motorcycles in the past as well. So obviously I purchased this motorcycle knowing that it's gonna have a more aggressive position. When people purchase the ZX6R, they're primarily going to be using it on the street. Not a lot of people ride this motorcycle on the track. I would probably say it's probably less than 5 or 10% of everyone who actually buys this motorcycle actually does a track day with it. Just riding it on the twisty roads, it's got a great feel and I'm not disappointed at all. And I'm sure if I take it to the track, it's gonna do absolutely wonderful. But as far as rider comfort and ergonomics and things like that, it is a more aggressive position, but it's not as aggressive as something, say, like Yamaha R6 or Ducati 959 or anything for that matter that is a lot more aggressive. Even a Gixxer, it's gonna be a lot more aggressive than a ZX6R. So if you're looking for a motorcycle that is aggressive, but not as aggressive as a typical sport bike of, let's just say, the previous generations, then this motorcycle would be it for you, simply because, as I mentioned before, this ZX6R is primarily used mainly on the street, so the ergonomics and how the seating position is more comfortable on the street. As far as wind protection, that's one of the things that I was talking about previously. It's one of the things that I don't like. Unfortunately, with wind protection, there is none of it. And even though I did talk about the motorcycle being mostly a street bike, it is developed to be taken on a racetrack where you're supposed to be tucked with your helmet being underneath the screen. So you're gonna get the most wind protection that way. But if you're riding it on the street like I am and most people buying this bike, wind protection is almost non-existent. So I do have a Pugue windscreen, and unfortunately, guys, I've just been super lazy and extremely busy, and I haven't had a chance to do any mods on the bike. I have two exhausts that I haven't installed as of yet, so those are going to go on the bike very, very soon as well. I really appreciate you guys being patient, and I know a lot of you guys are waiting for this mod list to continue improving the bike. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the power. Power on this bike is absolutely smooth. Right out of the box, the ECU tune as well as the power delivery on this motorcycle is top-notch. As you've been watching my previous videos, I hope you were, because I have a pre-oil change review before the 600-mile marker and a post-oil change review. And in those videos, I break things down. So if you want to get a little bit more detail, highly recommend that you go watch those videos. But to give you a quick synopsis, the 2024, 2025 and up Kawasaki ZX6Rs were developed to have low-end torque versus the previous generation where the torque was very high up in the rev range. Kawasaki was privy to the fact that most people ride this motorcycle on the street and they're not going to be at the track doing 15K RPMs on the streets. So they've lowered the torque ranges around the 8 to 10K RPM range, and that's the sweet spot, and you're going to get a lot of torque. So don't listen to anyone that says that this motorcycle is underpowered or doesn't have enough power. The motorcycle is highly capable, and if you're anywhere around the 10 or 11,000 RPM range, that's where you're going to get most of the peak torque. And of course, as you already know, the RPM ranges go all the way up to 15,000, which sounds absolutely incredible. And that's one of the reasons why I bought this motorcycle, because of the inline four engines. They sound magical. The throttle response is smooth, and the quick upshifter on this motorcycle works like butter. Let's go ahead and talk about how this motorcycle rides when you're just going from point A to point B. As you can see, I have a racer's body. I'm pretty fit and I'm pretty trim. I work out on a regular basis. So this motorcycle, I believe, is kind of developed for someone like myself. It's not a very cramped position, so if you're a taller person, it could definitely fit you. But overall, it's a very, very comfortable motorcycle when I'm sitting in it. I have plenty of leg room. I have plenty of room for my arms. Obviously, I'm not very tall or very big, but I haven't heard complaints about people that are a lot taller than I am riding this motorcycle. But that being said, the suspension as well as the seat, really comfortable. I can sit in the seat and I can relax anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour. And when I'm done riding the motorcycle, I do have a little bit of cramp around my knees, but that's also because I probably didn't stretch out before I rode the motorcycle. So if you're gonna ride for an hour or more, definitely stretch a little bit and it shouldn't give you that much of a problem. As far as the weight balance of the motorcycle and how it feels at speed, very, very stable. I haven't had any issues as of yet. The motorcycle is pretty flickable. It's a 600. It feels very light, it feels very agile. And of course, I've shed a little bit of weight on the motorcycle. Not sure if it's quite noticeable or not, but I'm going to be shedding off a whole lot more weight on the motorcycle in a couple of weeks. I'm hoping, quote unquote, hoping. Let's see if I can cram into my schedule installing these two exhausts and finally installing the full exhaust on the motorcycle. It's an M4 exhaust. It's a full system. If you've watched my previous videos, you know that I already have this exhaust. I've just been super lazy and very busy to install it. So hopefully you guys understand, as I mentioned before. But anyway, once I get done installing all the mods, hopefully we're going to be shedding a ton of weight and this motorcycle is going to be under 400 pounds. But as it sits at the current moment, it's probably somewhere around 422 or 23 pounds because we did shed about 12 to 15 pounds of weight. In stock form, this ABS version of the Kawasaki ZX6R is about 436 pounds. Regardless if it's being without the extra weight or with the weight, it still feels very, very flickable, and it reminds me very much of my Yamaha R6. And one of the things I loved about that bike was the fact that it was very, very flickable and it was very easy to maneuver and toss around. So it still feels like that, and that's one of the bonus things about owning a 600 is that they're very light and they're very flickable. As far as maintenance and reliability issues, as I mentioned before, I've only owned this bike for about 6 months, but you never, ever, ever hear about a Kawasaki or a ZX6R not starting up or having any issues or startup issues or oil leaking or things of that nature. If you're privy to my channel and you know about me and my previous motorcycles, you know that I had an Aprilia RC4. From day one, that motorcycle gave me grief and lots of troubles, tons of time spent at the dealership. But this motorcycle, on the other hand, 2,000 miles till now and 6 months of ownership, zero issues whatsoever, and I'm very, very happy about that. Now let's go ahead and talk about fuel economy, because I know some of you guys care about that kind of stuff. My average MPG, I'll go ahead and put it on the screen. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but this is my average MPG ever since buying the motorcycle brand new. If my memory serves me correctly, my MPG is probably in the mid 30s. Which I consider to be pretty good, but I think the ZX6R can go all the way up to 40 or 50 miles per gallon. Considering it's a sport bike, considering it has close to 130 horsepower, weighs 430 pounds, I think in today's market, getting close to 50 MPG is very, very impressive. Now, if I can talk about 3 things I love about the motorcycle, it would be the sound. Okay, that's number 1. It sounds absolutely incredible. There's no other sound like an inline 4 engine. Okay, maybe if we're talking about a V4 engine like an Aprilia RC4, that's a very, very close second. So it's a toss-up between those two, either an Aprilia RC4 or an inline 4 engine. But at the current moment, I'm just loving everything about the V4 engine. It's got like a classic motorcycle sport bike sound, if you know what I mean. If you ever watched any of those Tom Cruise movies, he rides a Harley or something that's like a V-twin, but they put an inline 4 engine sound. Which people that don't ride don't really know that it doesn't sound like that, but there's a reason why they use an inline 4 engine, because it's a classic sport bike sound, and this is one of the things that I absolutely love about this Kawasaki ZX6R. second thing that I love about it is the motorcycle just handles so well. Tossing it in and out of the corners, it feels really nice. It feels really agile. And the third thing that I like about it, actually I love about it, is the green color scheme. It kind of looks like a very, very exotic motorcycle. And with the 2024 design, it looks absolutely sensational. Now, if I can talk about a couple of things that I don't like about the motorcycle, number one, it would have to be that in 2024, 2025, when they made this motorcycle, there's just absolutely zero excuse not to have a quick up and down shifter. So just having a quick up, it's great. I use it in combination with rev matching, which I actually really enjoy. But having a quick up and down shifter would make it a whole lot better, and most modern sport bikes these days have it. So zero excuses, Kawasaki, please make an update to the motorcycle. The second thing I don't like about it is the fuel level indicator. Sometimes it's accurate, other times it's not. You can probably leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree with that, but the fuel level indicator is something that I don't like. But it's nice having it than not having it. And then finally, the third thing I don't like about it, and this one is something that can be resolved, is the lack of wind protection. So the big question, would I buy the Kawasaki ZX6R in 2025 once again, considering that the Yamaha R9 has just dropped? Well, the answer to that question is absolutely hell freaking yes. I would buy this motorcycle once again. Thanks for watching.